Hello, Siobhan Nolan here. Wait a sec, this isn't Sports Talk Philadelphia, and I'm not Siobhan. I think midterms have been really getting to my head. Anyways, hello, I'm Aidan Tyksinski.
And I'm Libby Gilliland. Siobhan has heard enough of my golf talk, so she decided to take the week off. But Aidan here so kindly volunteered to take her place. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. On today's episode, Siobhan sat down with the Mancini sisters.
And later, we give you the upcoming games.
But first, let's take a look at SportsLine Top 3.
Number 1, Kalista, Highham, and Emma Gorisich were named MAC Offensive Player of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week, respectively. The honors come after the Explorers swept the competition in California, going 5-0 over the weekend. Highham assisted 20 goals and 3 assists over the 5-game span with a season-high 6-goal game against Chapman. On the defensive end, Gorisich was dominant as well. She held a 56% save rate while making 45 saves and 13 steals. She tied her season high in saves in 11 over the 5-game span.
Number 2, Logan Flores was named NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week after showing at the South Jersey Spring Kickoff. The Florida native finished day 1 of the competition in second place with a 2 over par, helping the Explorers to a 4-stroke lead. On day 2, he matched his first round score and was one of 5 Explorers to finish top 5. His performance helped LaSalle to their first ever NCAA Division I win.
Number 3, Christian Ray was selected to the A10 All-Academic team for the second season in a row. Ray has maintained a perfect 4.0 GPA while double majoring in accounting and finance. On the court, Ray leads the team in rebounding, averaging 7 per game. He has appeared in all but 1 game this season while making 16 starts, with his best performance being a 16-rebound, 14-point game against Delaware. So we have a great selection to talk about here, but first of all, Christian Ray, very impressive to see him not only showing up on the court, played all but 1 game, but also showing up in the classroom with a 4.0. That's very hard to do, especially in college, double major, just very impressive, and it's great to see that he's a great example as a senior, leading the younger kids just with such a great academic performance.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and this is great for LaSalle as well. We've talked, you guys have talked a lot on this show about how well LaSalle students have done, not just on the playing field, that whatever they're playing on, but also off it as well in the classroom. So this is just another great performance by another student athlete at LaSalle.
Yeah, and my favorite sport to talk about, of course, because I play it, is golf. Logan Flores, transfer sophomore from Florida, just an incredible kid, but works so hard, and to see him come not only second place in the event, but lead his team to victory. First NCAA win for men's golf in program history, which is just incredible. So great to see that work pay off, not only for Logan, but for all the men who have been working really hard.
You know, that's especially true seeing as LaSalle is going to be going to one of these West Coast trips as well coming up. This is such a great momentum for them. I hope that they can use that into their future performances as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they will. So we also have Kalista Highham with water polo, 5-0 this weekend in California. We were talking about traveling far away. That's a tough match to go play, 5 games in a row, really far away from home, and to go 5-0 is really impressive for them. You know, it really is, especially as we said, another West Coast trip for them. It's huge momentum for the water polo team. Great to see. I'm so excited for all these teams so far this spring have been doing so well. Yeah. It's really good to see. Absolutely. That's it for top 3, so let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps.
Men's basketball had its final game of the regular season with a matchup against Duquesne. The game started with some history being made as Clifton Moore tied Lionel Simmons for the all-time single-season blocks record at 77. Khalil Brantley entered the game and quickly scored 6 to help put the Explorers up 19-14. Then it was Jack Clark's night. He scored 3 straight possessions, giving the Explorers a 35-21 lead. To open the second half, Clark would hit 2 threes before Josh Nuckelberry would hit one of his own to give the Explorers a 9-0 run. The redshirt junior then tied his career high at 21 with 14 minutes left in the game. The Dukes tried to mount a comeback, but Jack Clark would reach his career high 30th point to end the game 85-76. Then it was on to the A10 tournament. For the first round, the blue and gold drew 13th seed St. Joe's. Jack Clark got the team going with a quick 6 points. They continued their success holding St. Joe's to no points for 6 minutes and 38 seconds in the first half. They used this opportunity to take a 39-27 lead at the half. The Hawks battled back, but a deep three from Jack Clark with a little over a minute left sealed the deal for LaSalle and their 63-56 win. Jack Clark led the team with 20 points and 13 rebounds.
Last Thursday, women's basketball took on George Washington in the second round of the A10 tournament. A slow start from the Explorers gave George Washington a 16-9 lead at the end of the first quarter. The Explorers continued to put on a fight, but after shooting just 5 of 25 from three-point range, they couldn't lessen George Washington's lead and fell 64-54. Molly Massantonio scored a season-high 16 points, while Kayla Spurl led the team in rebounds with 9 and completed her 22nd game in a row, scoring in double digits. This unfortunately ends the season for the Lady Explorers.
4 members of the men's and women's track and field team were chosen to travel to Boston to compete in the IC4A championship. For the men's team, freshman Jack Patak finished in the top 10 in the 3,000 meter, clocking in with a time of 8 minutes and 9 seconds to finish in 9th place. In the same race, freshman McCallum Rowe finished in 25th place. The New Zealand native crossed the finish line at 8 minutes and 20 seconds. On the women's side, junior Christine Mancini, the youngest sister of the trio here at LaSalle, set a new school record in the 800 meter. Her preliminary time topped her previous program record. In the finals, Mancini lowered her time by another second to break the school record, finishing with a time of 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Freshman Gina Webb finished in 15th place in the preliminaries for the 1,000 meter.
Cross continued its season on Saturday with a game against Manhattan. The game got off on the right foot for the Explorers as they had an early lead in the first 25 seconds of the game, with a goal from Tori Rowland. The Jaspers quickly responded, going on a 4-1 run to end the first quarter. Rowland scored again for LaSalle to start the second quarter, but Manhattan once again went on a run, scoring 3 unanswered goals. The blue and gold were held scoreless in the third period as their deficit grew 9-3. The final quarter saw the Explorers attempt to come back. Rowland scored 2 more goals before Emily Johnston put 1 in to make the score 9-6. Maddie Jurakowski would then score before Johnston completed her hat trick. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough as Manhattan would win 10-8. The Explorers would fare far worse in their next matchup against Villanova. The blue and gold were behind from the very start, with 2 goals from the Wildcats in the first minutes of the game. Things wouldn't get much better after that, ending the first with a 6-1 deficit. The Wildcats easily handled the Explorers for the rest of the game, finally ending the game 14-3.
Water polo took a trip to the West Coast and had a dominant showing, starting off with a game against Santa Clara. Against the Broncos, the Explorers started off with a 2-1 lead to end the first period. Santa Clara tried to make a comeback, scoring 3 goals in the second, but were outmatched by LaSalle's 4-goal showing in the quarter. The Explorers tallied 4 more goals in the third to make the score 11-5. Santa Clara once again tried to make a comeback in the last quarter, but the Explorers were too much and ended the game with a score of 12-9. Then the Explorers had a matchup against Claremont. The Athens started off with a 2-1 advantage over the Explorers to end the first. The game was went back and forth in the second quarter, with Claremont coming out with a 7-4 advantage. Just when the Explorers were on the ropes, they sprang to life with a 5-goal performance in the third to make the game tied at 9. The teams once again traded goals in the fourth, but LaSalle will get the final goal to win it 11-10.
Water polo then continued to dominate its week with a game against Fresno Pacific. Kalista Highham would lead the team with 4 goals as 4 other explorers score at least twice. Emma Gorisich and Caitlin Valentine split time in the goal, earning 7 and 2 saves respectively. The Explorers won the game 15-10 before moving on to a game against Ottawa. It was more of the same against the Spirit as Highham led the team with 4 goals, with Madeline Corper adding 3. The Explorers held Ottawa to just 1 goal in the second period as they cruised to a 20-12 win.
3 Explorers competed in the NCAA Diving Championship as Steven Sestola, Sam Henniger, and Phoebe Shia took to the boards. Day 1 saw Shia place 10th in the prelims to earn a spot in the women's 1-meter final. She finished in 18th with a score of 497. This marks her best finish after placing 40th in 2020. On the men's side, Sam Henniger made his second appearance in the diving championship, competing in the 3-meter dive, finishing 38th with a score of 245. On day 2, all 3 explorers competed. Sestola joined Henniger in the men's 1-meter. They would end with a 28th and 27th place finish, respectively. Shia competed in the women's 3-meter dive on day 2 and finished 26 out of 60 divers.
Men's golf hit the ground running at the South Jersey Spring Kickoff last weekend. They made program history by winning their first ever event as a team. Sophomore Logan Flores shot back-to-back 74s to take second place in the individual category and win NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week. Senior Matthew Warner shot 1 behind, ending the weekend at 5 over and tied for 3rd place. Right behind him was Carson Rush, shooting 6 over and taking 5th place in the event. Coach Scott Yergolevich said, quote, "As a coach, I've had the pleasure of seeing a decent amount of individual wins, but our first team win is without a doubt the most special thing I've gotten to be a part of," unquote. So as we were talking about before, great win for the LaSalle men's golf team, and their coach said it best. There have been a lot of men that won individually, but playing as a team and everybody playing well is very, very hard to do in the game of golf. To see that all come together, especially in the first tournament of the year, is very exciting for them.
Yeah, no, it really is awesome to see. First tournament of the year, as you said, you're still a little bit, the weather can be a little bit shaky at certain points as well, and you might have some newer players as well. So to have 5 people finish in the top 5 in the win is just truly awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And switching over to basketball, the women's team unfortunately fell in their first game in the A10 championship, but the men surprised us. Siobhan would be so happy if she was here. And they're playing great. So great to see a good performance from them, and hopefully they'll keep it up.
You know, it truly is a little bit shocking, honestly, the fact that the women's team was the team that lost first in the A10. It really is good to see the men playing well. Unfortunately, they couldn't really build on it, but it's just good to see them playing well like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it for recaps. When we come back, we're going to round up the Mancini sisters for this week's On the Sideline.
I just missed the shuttle.
You never hit record!
I never hit record.
I just got an F on my exam.
Is that you? Do you sit around bored all day? Do you want to watch television shows where you can look at the people and be like, I can be that. That's me. Well, you should check out LaSalle TV. That rhymes. We got entertainment news at Backstage Pass. We got regular news at LTV News. We got sports news at Sports Talk and SportsLine. And for those of you who really want some fun stuff, Q&A. Because down at LaSalle TV, we got a full buffet.
Thanks, LaSalle TV.
Thanks, LaSalle TV.
Thanks, LaSalle TV. I still miss my shuttle.
Welcome back. Earlier today, Siobhan got to sit down with the 3 Mancini sisters. Take a look.
So, you guys have broken so many records for the school already. So to break more in this year's A10, was that kind of like expected for you, or was it just like, oh, we broke another record?
I want to say I I feel like for me personally, this was definitely was the first record that I broke was this season. So I would say it wasn't expected. I just on the day I broke it, I like wasn't looking to go break the record. I just was hoping to run maybe my best time or just have a good race in general. So yeah, I would say it wasn't expected.
Yeah, kind of going off what she said, the same thing. This season was the first season I've ever broken a record, and I never felt like it was like expected or anything. I just kind of feel like we just got out there and it just happened.
And then, with you guys training so hard during the season, it's, a very full year for, track runners. How do you keep yourself motivated all year to the point where you can perform the way that you guys did?
I would say the nice thing about being like an athlete at LaSalle is that I feel like all of our teammates are very motivated. And so when you're having like a rough day or you're feeling a little bit tired, you can sort of just go off of what your teammates are feeling or somebody else who's having a good day. They can sort of motivate you. And I mean, personally for me, my sisters are always a great source of motivation. Like between the three of us, one of us is always, feeling good that day. So they can help get us through like a tough workout or, a bad race or something.
Yeah, to go off what she said there, like during tough workouts and stuff, we oftentimes will switch turns to who's like pacing a rep, which is kind of you're doing the work there, so it's a little bit harder. So having somebody to switch off doing that work with definitely helps. And yeah, again, like she said, just when you train with like your sisters and your teammates, somebody is always feeling motivated that day, so you can kind of just work off them if you're feeling a little less motivated. Yeah, and the great thing with the three of us is that even like in the summer and on breaks, we all live in the same house, so we always have each other to train with.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of training does entail, preparing for A10s? Because obviously that's kind of the big competition for you guys. So what do you have to do to prepare for such a big championship like that?
That's a great question. It's the way training works at LaSalle and under Tom is that it's very individualized. And it kind of depends on, how much your body can handle and what event you like focus on. So I do like the really long stuff. So my mileage gets pretty high. And me and Tom have kind of found a balance about like how high I can get without causing any issues. So yeah, a lot of mileage, a lot of workouts. Really, we work year round for the 3 A10s, indoor, outdoor, cross. So.
Yeah, going off of that, I mean, they run more of longer events and I'm more like middle distance. So I'm out there for a lot of miles every day, but not quite as many as them. But it's also including for me, like, lifting and like core and stuff like that. So a little more speed work. So a little bit different, but it's still a lot of hours, a lot of hard work all year round.
Yeah. And although we're the ones actually doing the running, I think a lot of the credit goes to Tom for prepping us for A10s because he knows how to peak our workouts at the right time and then taper us properly so that we can have our best performances at the A10 championships.
Mm-hmm. And then the really exciting thing is that you guys weren't the only ones that did super well. There were, 6 medalists that LaSalle had in the A10 championships, which is the third most in program history. So what is it like for you guys to just be a part of such a great team performance as well as your own individual performances?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. The 3 other guys who won are really hard workers. I mean, I think it was Dennis's fourth title. And he's a really hard worker. We see him out there, jumping every day. And same with Luke and Liam Avard, who also won. And I think it says a lot about our program and what we hope to accomplish in the future. And Coach Tom has done a great job of building up our program every year so that we started out good when we got here, and we just continue hopefully to grow the program and the team.
Yeah, going off of that, it was also exciting, like on the day of, like, especially if you race later in the day, to see all your teammates go out there and win. And then when you get on the line, you were like, oh my gosh, I want to do that too. Like if they can do it, so can I, which is, we're training the same. We have the same coach. We're all putting in hard work. So it's nice to go watch your teammates win and then take the line and hopefully run as best as you can too afterwards.
Yeah, actually Coach Tom came up to me and Elle before the 3K and was like, it's already been a great day. Like, just have fun out there because like 3 of our guys had just won. right in a row.
Yeah, and that's always exciting. And do you guys ever feel any sort of pressure before you race because you want to match that really excellent performances that have come before you?
That's a great question. I think specifically with running as a sport, I think there's always a lot of pressure. For me personally, I never feel like it's like external. I never feel like it's my coaches or my teammates. I always feel like I'm the one putting all the pressure on myself. And I feel like that's mostly because, kind of like you were saying, like we train year round for this, and then you get there and you have one day to do what you want to do. But I feel like personally, and I think they have too, found kind of a balance between like a good level of pressure and too much pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say for me, I definitely feel like running is sort of a higher pressure sport because you train so many hours a week. And then, I mean, for me personally, my race is like a little bit over 2 minutes long. So it's like you put in all these hours for like a 2-minute race. But I would say, yeah, just sort of, I think the nice thing about being like at LaSalle is that, yeah, there's like, you can put a lot of pressure on yourself to run good, but like at the end of the day, when I'm at a meet, I'm having a lot of fun out there. So I think that sort of helps to balance it out, like the high pressure and just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we've been in this sport for, the three of us have been in it for like 12 years. And even when you're running, you know, at 10 years old and you're nowhere near what you can do now, you still feel the same amount of pressure. So it's definitely something that you learn to deal with pretty early on in the sport, I think. Yeah, and then another thing about specifically running and like pressure is that sometimes before a race, it's not even necessarily pressure that I'm feeling. It's kind of like anticipation, like, oh, this is gonna hurt really bad. Like I have to be ready for that. Which I sometimes feel like you don't have in other sports. I guess more like endurance-based sports you do, but.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are almost, I don't want to say the face of track and field, but we always talk about the Mancini sisters. We always seem like you guys are the ones that people talk about. So does that kind of motivate you to be an inspiration to people looking at the track program, especially, you know, young women that might join LaSalle? Or is that another source of, oh, this is a lot of pressure because everyone's already kind of looking at us to do well?
I would say something that is really important to us is just being really proud to represent LaSalle. LaSalle has given so much to us that, yeah, we want to, you know, make the future of LaSalle even better than it was when we got here. So I wouldn't say I really feel pressure with that, but I do like work my hardest so that I can do my part to improve the school, improve the program, you know, do my best here so that other people can experience LaSalle and see how great it is and then continue to make it a better program.
Yeah, to going off that, it's just an honor to wear LaSalle and to represent LaSalle. And, you know, we take representing LaSalle really seriously. So, you know, it's fun. We try to have fun out there, represent the school, and just run our best and not think too much about everything else.
And then I know you guys must get asked this a lot, but do you ever feel any like sisterly competition between you guys, or is it more like supportive or mutual kind of, you know, you want to lift each other up to do the best you can?
That's a great question. We always joke with each other about that kind of stuff, but I think the reason that we're able to joke about it is because we're at the core of it, we're really, really supportive of each other. So I always say, like, Liz and we were both in the 3K at A10s and she won, and I was like, it's like I got second. I was like, I feel like I won because he won. So we definitely joke about it, but I think that's because we're so supportive of each other. Yeah, and even in workouts and stuff, like we definitely will get a little competitive with it and it helps us. But, you know, when you dig really deep down, it's more of support and we want to push each other to be our best.
Yeah, but I think the friendly competition between us is really good because it improves us in running and it causes us to have like a lot of fun with it. Like when we have a race coming up or we're racing each other, we'll like joke all week about, you know, who's going to come out on top and, you know, who's going to beat who. And we'll like just with each other. And I think it helps workouts. We're like pushing each other, you know, like nobody likes to lose, but like there's like the best person to lose to, you know?
Yeah, sometimes we'll make it like a fun kind of thing. We'll be like, oh, whoever wins this one, like you have to get me an ice cream.
Honestly, that's a great motivation. Yeah. And so that's all the questions I have for you guys. So if you don't have anything more that you want to say or want to ask, then I can let you guys go for the day. Thank you for doing this, by the way. We really are excited to talk to you.
Welcome back. Here are the LaSalle sporting events coming up this week. First up, water polo has a pair of matchups on Saturday against Mercyhurst and Salem, then 2 more on Sunday against Gannon and Mercyhurst. Again, finally, women's golf takes part in the Jackrabbit Invitational.
So, Libby, you're going to be taking part in the golf tournament, obviously, in Vegas. Is there anything that you're preparing for? Obviously, it's going to be on the West Coast, so you have to adjust to the time. Also, you've talked about plane services before, so what are you doing to prepare for that tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to Vegas, which is crazy. That's the farthest I think we've ever traveled. So there, the ball travels a lot further. There's no humidity. There's a time change. It's going to be a lot to kind of switch over and adjust, but I know the whole team is really excited to get started and see what we can do. Hopefully we can take after the men and get a win. Yeah. But also water polo, coming off that 5-0 sweep that they had in California, and now coming back, hopefully they can get a couple more wins to really add on to that.
You know, it's especially big to get those big road wins early out in the season, then come back home. You're going to be in front of your home crowd. You're going to be in a more friendly environment with the time. So I feel like they can use that momentum to get a few more wins.
Absolutely. We're excited to see it.
Yep. So that just about wraps it up for this week. If you can't make it to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in for next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com. You can also check out the digital edition of the Collegian, which now features SportsLine content.
Also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send your thoughts and suggestions there. This week's poll is corned beef or cabbage. I think neither.
I've tried corned beef hash before, so I'll go with corned beef. For our entire SportsLine team, I'm Aidan Tyksinski.
And I'm Libby Gilliland. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.